So here's a question I never thought I would ask. What do you get when you cross Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Zelda 2 The Adventure of Link, and Final Fantasy IX? Well, if you've ever seen Astlibra Revision before, then those three games being mixed together may not be something that's surprising to you. It's a game that had come out last year for Steam, but as of today is also out on the Nintendo Switch. And I want to give a massive thank you to Keizo, who is the single developer for this game. Single person, one person made this game, for gifting me a copy of Astlibra Revision on Nintendo Switch so that I can bring this review to you guys. So the story behind Astlibra Revision is actually very interesting. As I said, it was developed by Keizo, who is a single person that developed the game over the course of 13 years. And like I said, it actually got released as Astlibra Revision on Steam last year. But if you go looking for critic reviews of the game, they're actually weirdly difficult to come across. But if you look on Steam's recommendations feed, it's got like a 96% recommended rate, with people giving it absolutely glowing reviews. So when the code was offered to me, I absolutely had to take it up as a fan of every genre that's involved in this game. And I have to say, I'm pretty blown away by it. The story within Astlibra Revision is actually kind of trippy and wild, so I'm not going to go into any major details for fear of spoiling anything, but all you need to know is at the beginning of the game, the nameless protagonist wakes up after being in a coma to his talking crow friend named Charon, who has absolutely no memory of who they are, where they came from, and they want to find their way home. And very early on in the game, you come across an ancient artifact called Astrea's Scales, which actually has some gameplay connotations as well, which triggers abilities of like traveling through time and dimensions and craziness that have massive repercussions, as you would imagine, through a story of this kind of magnitude. So while I really like Astlibra Revision as a video game, I do think that its one major weak point is its storytelling. And I don't mean that in terms of its themes or the way it presents itself, I mean that in terms of its translation and localization. As I said, it was made by a very, very small number of people, and therefore the translations don't necessarily come across like we'd hope, and it kind of looks like sometimes it's been done through Google Translate. So don't take too much stock in the translation or anything like that from what you see in any footage here or anything, because the story, there is a lot to enjoy, but you do have to keep in mind how this game was made in order to fully appreciate it. So to look at Astlibra Revision, you're looking at this game and thinking, oh, it's just another Metroidvania. And in some ways it is. It's very much a side-scrolling RPG affair, 2D art, which, like, certainly in the case of bosses, etc., is actually stunning, and the parallax, like the old school parallax scrolling of the backgrounds is also really, really nice. I think the character models also look great as well, but given that this was originally a freeware title over in Japan, it's, you know, it maybe doesn't look quite as new and modern as you would expect games of 2023 to look. But quite frankly, I've said this about many games this year and at the end of last year, and I swear I blame Chained Echoes for this. I am loving seeing this old school retro feel come back into the main sort of like zeitgeist of gaming lately, and I'm so here for it. So honestly, give me more of this. It may not appeal to people who are wanting their AAA God of War Ragnaroks, etc., but to me, this is perfection. And like I said, looks like a Symphony of the Night knockoff to begin with. However, I named 3 games as what were clear inspirations for this, and Symphony of the Night was only one of them. So yes, the side-scrolling action RPG elements with no iframes or anything like your Dark Souls or Sultan Sanctuary, that kind of thing, are present here. And you do have it a little bit, where you have like a backdash that you get early, but it's very much like Castlevania. It's not going to save you from getting hit, really. But the iframes in this game come from casting magic. So what I mean by that is you get a plethora of magic spells throughout the course of the game through a progression system that is more akin to Final Fantasy IX, and you get those, and when you cast spells you get iframes for casting magic, and you build MP by attacking. So the best way to look at it, and the way I use Final Fantasy IX particularly as inspiration for this, is that you're attacking in order to build up what is essentially an ATB gauge in order for you to cast magic, which then does more damage and protects you from oncoming attacks as long as you time them correctly. The other thing that it takes inspiration from in terms of Final Fantasy IX is its progression systems. There's a staggering number of weapons, accessories, equipment, shields, all of which have abilities that you get by mastering them through use. So very Final Fantasy IX. And as well as that, you have abilities that are learned through Charon that you get to keep if you've mastered those weapons, and you have magical crystals that you earn more and more of as you progress through the game through hunting treasure chests down and leveling up, etc., that give you more space to equip more abilities from the ones you've already mastered through the weapons and the equipment. I use Zelda 2 as the third kind of inspiration for this game because the way in which you interact with the world is very much like Zelda 2, for better or worse. I say this because when you explore towns, etc., you explore them very much in the same way as you would Zelda 2, and you're kind of in a side-scrolling environment. It doesn't change like its formatting like perhaps you would see in a Final Fantasy game or anything like that, or even other side-scrolling RPGs like Symphony of the Night, but you explore full-blown towns. They have arenas in them, they have shops in them, they have quests in them, and you just go up to them and talk to them. Not only that, but when you come across locked doors, etc., you are expected to go into your inventory and use the correct item. There's no hand-holding here. There's no, would you like to use X item that you acquired in order to open this door? No, you are expected to have paid attention and know exactly what item you're supposed to be using as a key item to go in. And I will say, I did get lost quite a few times in the hours that I've spent playing this game, and I've spent a good 10 to 15 so far, and I don't feel like I've even scratched the surface of what's possible with this game. Stat progression actually has lots of different facets to it as well. You get your typical level ups, and you get points that you can allocate across your magic stat, your strength stat, HP, defense, etc., luck, that kind of thing. But there's definitely not the case where you would think, oh, I want to specialize in either strength or magic. You're going to be using everything at your disposal. Early in the game, you're kind of led down this path of thinking that's how it's going to go, but as you kind of progress through it, early on I actually thought it was a bit clunky to begin with, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm kind of just mashing one button. But very, very quickly, you realize, certainly when you come across these games, extremely challenging boss fights, and there are a wide variety of difficulty settings on this game as well, that trying to mash one button is not going to help you. You're going to need to block. You're going to need to cast magic. You're going to need to be attacking and timing and backdashing. Playing this game on the Switch specifically, I actually really enjoyed it. And if you've got this on Steam and want to play it on the Steam Deck, I think it makes for an extraordinary portable experience. On the Switch, I was, the battery didn't drain too quickly. I was quite happily playing in bed for ages, and I was really enjoying just that portable experience. I think the Astlibra Revision actually suits that type of experience very, very well. And then I think my last thoughts on the game before going into my sort of final overall opinions on whether this game is worth your purchase or not, I will say that this game is not for the faint of heart. It's difficult, and it definitely spikes in difficulty at numerous points throughout the game. I'm pretty well accustomed with Metroidvanias and RPGs, and I still found myself sort of dying fairly regularly, certainly to boss fights, but I always felt like it was my fault. Like, it was one of those nice situations where the first time I go into a boss fight, I'll be like, what is this? How on earth are you supposed to beat this? And then a couple of tries later, I'm like, oh no, I get it now. And then when you beat it, it's actually got a lot of satisfaction to it. And this is helped by the sound design as well. Attacks sound thwacky in just the right type of way. The music is actually surprisingly good as well. Like, honestly, I'm just really shocked by how impressed I am with this game, and having read all of these glowing reviews on Steam recommendations and stuff, I'm like, really? It can't be that good. And having played it, I'm starting to see it. Do I think Astlibra Revision is like the next coming of the Metroidvania genre? No, I don't think it's perfect, but I think it refines a lot of what makes those franchises good and distills them into one package of about 20 different genres that work really well together. So given that it's not a hugely expensive game either, I do think that it's very much worth your purchase, particularly on the Switch. If you're somebody that really enjoys indie titles in particular, I can't recommend this game enough, because with indie titles you can tell that there's a lot of love that goes into a game like Astlibra Revision, and given its very cool backstory of being developed by one person over the course of over a decade, you can tell by playing it that the person making this game really loved making it, and to me, that is worth its weight in gold. So I would absolutely encourage anyone who's a fan of independent titles to go out and go and check out Astlibra Revision. If you're a fan of Metroidvanias, it's a really good one. If you like RPGs that have some action in them, it's a really good one. Story is a little bit wacky for my taste, but if you like that, you know, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly stuff, then you'll probably really love it. So honestly, yeah, I can't not recommend this game. I'm very, very impressed with it. So that's going to be all for today's video. Once again, a massive thank you to the publishers for sending me a copy of Astlibra Revision so that I can bring you guys this review. Really appreciate it, as always. And of course, if you're new to this channel, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell for notifications on any future videos I might be making. And if you want to leave a comment as well on your thoughts on Astlibra Revision, please do. And if you're not sure what to comment, just type the word algorithm, because it helps me out as a YouTuber. And if you'd like to support the channel further, please consider taking a look at my Patreon down in the description box below, where I have title cards for all the people that you can see on the screen here, and it could be you as well. And I'm looking at incorporating some more of my artistic capabilities into my Patreon as well. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time, everybody. Bye bye.